Trai Essex, you've been a busy man, dude. You got the Snap Count show, you and Charlie Batch breaking down Steelers football, breaking down some ball. We appreciate you taking the time to join us today, dude. How you doing?
Fantastic. And appreciate the shout out. Yeah, me and Charlie started our own thing. Just got done with our second episode yesterday, offering some insight from two guys that played together during some special times here in Pittsburgh. So hoping the fans enjoy.
So we actually talked about something that Charlie said on the show yesterday, and we want you to be on so you can give your opinion. So we'll get to that and a lot of that in a minute here. But Charlie says this team reminds him in some ways of the 2005 Steelers. And we know that team went on to win 11 games and win the Super Bowl. What was he getting at there?
I think he thinks the style of play, how we're built. Obviously, 2005 team was centered around that defense and a very strong running attack. And I think that's where the similarities begin. That's what I think Coach Tomlin and Arthur envision for this Steelers team, where obviously the strength of our team lies in this very highly paid, veteran-laden defense. And we're going to ride them until we can't anymore. And that's how we've done the last few years. But we need an offense to help spell them. And I'm imagining that's going to be via the run game. And so they're building this offensive line through the draft. We started three guys from last year's draft class is going to be in a starting lineup this coming draft class. And then we attacked the running back position. So that's what Arthur wants to do. That's what we did in 2005. And I think that's what Charlie is hinting at when he says he sees some similarities.
Trai, how long does it take for an offensive line to start gelling together? Like how many weeks, how many days in training camp where you're starting to feel like, okay, like we know what we're doing. We're starting to feel it. We know the calls. We're on the same page. How long does that take? And how long may it take, as you just said, with a bunch of young guys that are on the offensive line? How long may it take for them? But normally, how long does it take for an offensive line to get on the same page?
It's going to take the vast majority of this season, I think. When I talk about the youth of this team, and you got two guys that not only that, we got Broderick that switched positions. The only person that is a holdover from last year and from years past is Isaac at the left guard position. But Zach is a returning starter. He is the guy that probably has the most upside so far, that has shown the most upside as far as being healthy and being on the field. But otherwise, everybody else is pretty much unproven. And so it's going to take a while for them to gel. And honestly, if we're looking at our starting five, they're all penciled in as starters. Nobody is giving that position, probably outside of Isaac and Zach. McCormick at right guard. We're not sure if Troy's going to stay at right tackle. There could be a move to left tackle if Broderick doesn't pan out there. And so who knows what is going to happen here in the next 3 weeks, but we're going to learn a lot about this O-line. And honestly, this season hinges on them finding that chemistry and finding it fast.
Trai Essex joining us here on the Fan Morning Show. Let's stick with Broderick. Played right tackle last year. Could have been the swing tackle if Troy Faltanu was healthy. They believed in Dan Moore for his final season. What did you see out of him last year? The reports out of camp haven't been good, and he's been banged up. What does he need to do to be a viable left tackle in the NFL, Trai?
Like you mentioned, he's been banged up, and the one thing he can't afford to do is miss any time, especially with the position switch, especially with how big this year is, not only for us, but for him. And from a career standpoint, this could be a make or break year. I had the opportunity to be at camp this past weekend. I went to Friday Night Lights, saw him practicing on Saturday as well. There are some legit technique issues that cause for concern. And if he's not out there getting the reps that he needs in team period, not just in the one-on-ones, not just in individual period, he's going to get that. He needs those live bullets flying at him. He needs to be going against the Alex Highsmiths, the Nick Herbigs. And the times that I saw him do the drills against those guys, it didn't look great. I'm just going to be truthfully honest. And so the one thing he needs reps. He needs reps because there are guys behind him that are hungry. You got Spencer Anderson that wants to get a crack at it. You got Dylan Cook who wants to get a crack at it. There's a kid in Stephen Jones, my number's sake in 79, who is making a push to try to make this squad. So it's not a given that that's his position. He has a lot of work to do, and he has to be on the field in order to get to where he needs to be and where we need him to be going into the season.
Trey, what are some of those technique issues that you saw whenever you were at training camp the other day that we can maybe look out for on Saturday whenever they have their first preseason games?
I'm not sure if he trusts his strength. Usually when you see guys because he has all the physical tools. He's quick off the snap count. He has the length that you want. He has the feet. When he moves his feet are quick. But you see guys who don't really trust their strength, duck their head and punch and stop their feet. You know what I'm talking about, Dorin.
Mm-hmm.
And so I see a lot of that. Like when he see Alex Highsmith on that third step, that third step is either second, third step that they start to make their move. He's already ducking his head and stopping his feet and not getting his hands in a good punching position. And I think that's a lack of trusting his lower body strength.
We all know, and he confirmed it, that he lost weight and that he said that way he can gain weight over the season. You said you were there at camp on Friday. Does he look too small for the position? Was that the thing he should have been doing? What do you see there?
No, I don't. I think he looks the part. He absolutely looks the part. He looks like the athlete that they drafted him to be. And like I said, when he's out there doing the individual drills, he looks fantastic. And I think it's just a confidence standpoint. And just maybe he needs to get into the weight room a little bit more and do some more squats. Just my opinion. But I think he has the physical tools. He showed that he could do it at Georgia, obviously, in limited fashion. But he is an athlete. And I just think maybe he needs to there's a lack of confidence in his total strength.
Trey, say that they're going to roll with Broderick Jones. I have a feeling that they are. I mean, they're going to go to the last kind of moment if it doesn't look well with Broderick Jones. Say this offensive line doesn't gel, and they do look young, and they are getting taken advantage of a little bit. What are some of the things that this offense can do to protect Aaron Rodgers, who's 41 years old? Like, how can Arthur Smith protect Aaron Rodgers if it's not looking good?
A lot of moving pockets, a lot of play action passing. You're going to have to run the ball. Like, even if the offensive line isn't pass protecting like they should be good in the run game. If anything, you get a whole bunch of young guys, the one thing they love to do is come off the ball. They don't like catching. They like to push out. And so I think we'll be fine as far as running the ball. We just might not be able to get the big plays downfield to DK and Calvin like we would want to in this offense to take full advantage of their talents. So in order to mitigate the lack of protection, I see a lot more sprint out passes, a lot more play action passes, a lot more quick game, not so much 5 or 7 and long play action passes.
All right, we've spent a lot of time on the negative with Broderick Jones on this show, as have a lot of different shows and a lot of different columns you spent on that guy. Zach Frazier, great year one. What do you think the ceiling can be for this guy, and what are you expecting from him?
I think he could be one of the next great centers in a long line of great centers in Steelers history. Obviously, Marquise Pouncey, who just got inducted into the Hall of Honor, rightfully so, and is on I think on the road to the Hall of Fame, and I think he deserves to be there. But I think Zach is cut from the same type of cloth. I saw some things when I went to practice that gives me hope that he is going to be the leader. I saw him during team period when the ones would go off and twos would go on. He would go off on the side and run sprints just to get some extra conditioning while the guys were practicing, and then would go and be locked in as far as what the twos and threes were doing. So I thought that was a good step in the right direction as far as showing his leadership capabilities. But make no bones about it, the number one thing that he has to do is get this snap right between him and A-Rod. That's one thing we can't have going into a season, being a bugaboo. They got to get that done. And the only reason that gives me reason to think that maybe Aaron might get some reps here in the preseason, because you want to have those live reps. At first, I thought maybe A-Rod would not play at all, but I think maybe just to get those reps between that quarterback and center and get that snap right, we might see that a few times. But that's the number one thing he needs to concentrate on. But I think as far as his potential is concerned, he could be one of the better ones in our history.
Financially, the Steelers could get it done. Terry McLaurin, he's looking for a new deal. I think he wants out of Washington. Should the Steelers try to trade for Terry McLaurin, wide receiver? And if they do, or if they were to, what would that do for the Steelers? Like, how would the Steelers look if they had Terry McLaurin?
don't we have too many Ohio State players on the team as is? I'm tired of these dang old Buckeyes infiltrating Pittsburgh. Goodness gracious. But, I mean, obviously, Scary Terry's a heck of a player. I just don't see us giving up that many more assets unless, I mean, I don't think the price tag is for somebody like him. He might get a 2 or 3 year deal. Was he looking for? Maybe 30. He's looking for like a DK type of deal, right? And I just don't see us doing it. I mean, but this offseason has been crazy, right? We've done things that we haven't done before up to this point. So who knows what Omar still has in his bag, but I just don't see it happening.
Trai Essex with us, host of the Snap Count Show with Charlie Batch. And you've done 2 episodes now so far?
Yes, sir. You can find us on YouTube or on X.
Very good.
Nice.
So Charlie compared the team to the 05 group. The 05 group also had a great offensive line. We've talked about the struggles, particularly in pass protection for a guy like Broderick Jones. How do you view this group as a run blocking outfit?
So the 2 position groups when I went to camp, and I kind of knew this going in, the 2 position groups that are probably our youngest and are probably behind the other position groups on the team are 1, the offensive line, and 2, the running back group. And just so happens these are the 2 groups that are going to make or break our season. You know, we need the run game not only to help aid our aging quarterback, but the issues with our team, I think, in the last 2 years have been how much our defense has gotten worn to a nub by the end of the year because we can't run the ball. And by the end of the year, they can't stop the run. Excuse me, fellas. But a lot of that is because we can't control the ball. We can't get first downs in because of that. We can't run the ball on first and second down. We're in long third down situations. That's been the story, right? And so I think going into this year, that's why we attacked the offensive line position in the draft last year. That's why Arthur Smith came in. He has a known history by getting the run game going. And that's why we drafted a guy like Caleb Johnson out of Iowa who fits his scheme, his zone running scheme to a T. So I think that is the focus of his group. I think that's what they're going to hit hard going at this. I know that's what they practice a whole bunch in the camp sessions that I was there, and that's what they've been doing all camp. And I know that's what Arthur Smith wants to do, and I know it's going to help A-Rod a lot to have that strong running game and the emphasis on the run, especially when we have all these tight ends we got to use. We got a big-ass Darnell Washington, human. That dude is the biggest human I've ever seen in my life that plays the tight end position. Max said, usually those guys play tackle. You know, usually you don't see them in tight end. And then we got Pat and Janu. And I think Connor is coming in and had a heck of a camp and made a case to keep 4 tight ends. And so we got all the tools we need to have a strong running game and to use the Arthur Smith offense to its full potential.
Well, you just alluded to it, and this is the question I want to ask you. We've asked reporters, about 3 reporters, this question, and they kind of said, yeah, maybe, it has the size. Could Darnell Washington, from a former offensive lineman's perspective, could Darnell Washington play tackle?
He absolutely could, but not like in a pinch. Like if you needed him to play tackle in a game, he could get away with it for 1 game. But then he would get exposed after that. And so he would need a whole offseason to convert. But he definitely could do it because not only does he have the size, the dude has the mentality. He loves it. I saw him out here in those one-on-one drills. He absolutely loves blocking and stopping guys in their tracks. He takes pride in it.
Trai, this was awesome. You're one of our favorite guests. If we had known you were in town, we could have taken you to dinner or something. Yep. Dorin would have paid. It would have been his treat. It would have been great.
I needed some peppies, man. I didn't get the peppies. So next time I'm in town, you owe me.
Got you.
Darn right.
Got you.
Snap Count Show with Charlie Batch. Trai Essex, our guest. Trai, we appreciate the time as always, man. Be good. Thank you.
All right. Have a good one.
Thanks, Trai.
Love Trai Essex.